Everyone, Fuseman coming at you, and today we're continuing our Out of Ammo strategy guide series, and this time looking at the night map. And as you can see, I was already on the leaderboard from last time, but this time I'm actually going to try and get an even higher score. And to be honest, like, the night map is honestly one of my favorite maps, and it's actually the first map I tried out, so definitely really enjoy this map. The night atmosphere definitely adds, I think, a lot, especially in VR, but of course, in the recording, it doesn't look as good because you can't actually see some of the buildings. But I'll just kind of walk you through some of the placements that I have been doing. And just to start off, I have my sniper tower and 2 sandbags that you get on every single map. And I'm placing them behind my HQ, mainly because there are 2 fences there that are going to be able to block a lot of stray bullets that you'll have from incoming troops. And so I'm going to put a sniper tower behind that fence and a sandbag in front just to have the stray bullets attack the sandbag and then hit the fence while the sniper tower actually takes them out. And then the really cool thing about this map is that you get flares to light up certain parts of the map. So you could see there that I threw a flare. And then you also can use your flashlight. And I think both of those features are really cool in VR, and they really add to the level of immersion as far as, like, you actually feel like you're in a night setting. And I think both those effects are really unique, and you can only do that with the night settings in this map, so I think that's awesome. And then here what I did is actually I'm using my medic tent as a means of blocking more stray bullets. Because your medic tent, even if it gets hit, it doesn't actually do any damage overall, so your HQ will be fine. So by having that as your backup, you will just avoid stray bullets. And this was actually an interesting part. They actually allow you to switch between a laser sight and your flashlight setting. And to be honest, like, while I was in VR, I actually didn't see the text that you saw in that previous clip, which made it kind of a little confusing for me once I accidentally switched and I didn't realize, because I didn't see the text, that I switched and didn't actually know how to switch back until afterwards. So that's just, I guess, something to keep in mind, is that you can switch between a laser point and a flashlight. I honestly prefer the flashlight a lot more, but that's a personal preference. And one thing I do consistently throughout this video and playing on the night map is actually making sure I go back and reflare everything. Your flares will repopulate every, like, 20-30 seconds, and so maybe a little longer. But, like, it's important to keep throwing the flares because that'll really let you see incoming troops and then be able to react to them in a timely fashion. And so yeah, that's just overall important to make sure you just keep throwing your flares and cycling between your sandbags to make sure you get them out there. And so I'll be consistently doing that, like right here, for example. And just kind of moving along until tanks really start hitting the game, it is actually fairly easy. Like, for the most part, your troops, if you position them well, are able to actually just take out the incoming waves because they're fairly small. I also make sure to put my medic and mechanic tents in the middle. And actually here, what I do is I have an extra sandbag, and it's kind of weird in the sense that you get 3 sniper towers, but the map usually gives you 4 snipers. So what I do with that 4th sniper is I actually have an extra sandbag for him, and I place him between the sandbags in that kind of open area on the back side of the HQ. And I think that's an effective way to really see both the fully backside as well as the troops that come in from the right, and so it effectively uses your sniper in that case. So getting pretty close here to tanks coming in, and what I do here was actually a bug that was in the version 0.8 patch, and what you could do, and this is probably the only footage you'll ever see of this, is you can actually take a dead ragdoll, swing it around, and try to get it underneath the tank, and that'll actually flip it over and cause that tank to explode. So it's just a really cheesy thing that you could have done in that 0.8 patch, and I wanted to show it off in this video. And also here is, like, they still had that bug where the tanks didn't have a collider. So, I mean, it's like a good bug and a bad bug were in this patch. What I really appreciate about the devs is that they responded to the community feedback on this really quickly, and actually this game was literally probably the last game played with that ragdoll bug, because as I was playing, I got a notification that told me that they put in a hotfix for version 8.1, and I just think that's really cool that the devs are doing an amazing job with this game and are trying to make it the best it can be. And I really appreciate that, because I definitely, if you can't tell, I am having a lot of fun with this game. And so, yeah, just kind of moving along. As you can see, we're now past wave 20 with the tanks. And what we're going to be doing is basically, we have put down our machine gun. We've pretty much at this point put down all the troops that we need to. And we now just really got to make sure that we effectively use all our artillery points and our strafing runs, because we do at this point have about over 100 points to use. And as you can see here, I spent a lot of time with the artillery bomb, because one thing that they did in the 0.8 patch is if you decide to use an artillery bomb, what you have to do is actually use it, and if you don't use it, then your points are still consumed, so it doesn't make any sense to cancel it. And unfortunately, they don't really tell you that in the game, so if you have to read the patch notes to be able to know that that's happening. But in this particular case, I was waiting to make sure that I actually used it correctly. And I mean, it also on this map, the artillery bomb is nice because it allows you to basically see all the troops that are coming from a very far distance, even further away than your flares. And I think that's really beneficial and something that'll definitely make sure that you stay alive in this game as long as possible. But I have to say that the strafing runs are really hard to actually get placed right, because you aren't really able to see the tanks and the troops that are coming at you where you want to place your strafing run. So I highly recommend what you do is you throw an artillery first to kind of see where the troops are, and then once you have a generally good idea of where they are, go ahead and approximately place down that strafing run. That's going to be a pretty effective way to actually make use of it. And the strafing run is really important, especially now that they fixed that ragdoll effect for basically taking out tanks. And I mean, I think also the fact that they fixed the rocket launchers will help a lot. So I actually haven't tried out the 0.1 patch yet, and I will probably try it out really shortly. And I think that should make the game a bit more balanced, because with those bugs, it was kind of a little crazy. That's definitely for sure. So yeah, so just kind of moving through this middle game here, and I feel like in this run in particular, I got a pretty easy set. As you can see there, I had 4 medics and 3 mechanics, and that's just, I mean, I had more medics and support troops than I actually had tents to put them in. And that's honestly, like, I think this is the only map that will cause that to happen, because you basically, on the other maps, you basically have just the right amount of troops, whereas here they try to give you a surplus. So that's just something to keep in mind, and try to make sure that you have all your troops and they stay alive. That's just super important, because otherwise, like, your troops will die and it'll be a sad time. And actually here I got in a little bit of a hurry, so I highly recommend when you're on this map, just kind of be patient a little bit, because in there I kind of made the accident of having that strafing run right over my sandbag and my troops, which in general, especially if they're under a lot of attack, that'll kill them. So you really don't want that to happen. And so there I was actually going to use my sniping tool as a means of slowing down time, but also if you do it effectively, you can actually highlight some troops and know where they're coming from, and since it's slowed down time, you can use that to your advantage just a little bit to actually go ahead and take out troops or know when they're coming, and then switch into your troop mode to actually take them out. So I think that's a pretty neat effect. And again, just kind of moving through the mid-game here, I do feel like I got a bit easier of a run compared to other runs, in the sense that a lot of the troops seem to be spread out as opposed to in other cases. And now, yeah, here again I destroy the tank. But I also didn't face a lot of rocket launchers. And I think that's something I've noticed, is that from run to run, you can get a varied range of difficulty, where some runs are really easy and you don't face any rocket launchers at all for the longest time, and other runs you face them in wave 5. And that's, I think, I don't know if that's a bug or if that's just the randomness at its best. but just something to look out for. And there again, I don't know if you saw, but like, for some reason, again, I got super tangled up and disconnected my HDMI. And that seems to be a common thread among all of the runs that I do, that where I get on the leaderboard, I somehow manage to mess it up and get kicked out of the game. And it cost me pretty big this time. I lost several troops because there was a wave coming in. And at this point it was like, can I survive for the longest amount possible? And you can see I was missing a lot of troops. Still trying to take everything out with my rocket launcher. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't want to use that bug too greedily. I mean, I just kind of wanted to show it off because I thought it was a fun thing that I think a lot of people, if you hadn't seen it, you missed out. Because that was just a cute little bug that I think was a little too game-breaking, but I think that's the really cool part about this game being early access, is that we get to see the development workflow of a VR game and learn from the process and see kind of some of the random struggles that they have to face that you wouldn't normally expect happen in a normal game. So I think that's really cool and fun to play around with and see what is actually going on. And at this point, it's pretty much game over. I'm like trying to do the best I can to survive, but I'm losing a lot of troops. And yep, there it is. But as you can see, it's a really high score, and it actually gets me number 3 on the leaderboard. So hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like on the video if you did, or comment below on other strategies you use. You can even subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. But that's it from me. This has been FuseMan, and I'm signing out.